Hey guys, it's Latana, the Lady Print Boss. Welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to show you how to optimize your Silhouette Cameo 4 for designing so that you can design really fast and easy. And this actually works with everything, with all of the cameos, but I'm going to optimize it using the business edition settings, and that way I can show you guys how awesome the business edition is. One of my main issues with Silhouette is just moving so slow. So I'm going to show you how to speed up your design and optimize your system when you get it, and let's get to it. So the first thing that you want to do when you're opening up your Silhouette, when you open up, you'll come to this new projects window. Okay, and that just shows you different things that you can do, and this is good for when you're doing print and cut. See here, I could go here and just start a blank design, or I can go here and go back to the wizard, and if I want to do rhinestones, or what I use most of the time is the print and cut feature, and I could just go into print and cut and I'm already ready to go. So that's one thing. I want you to notice when I'm clicking through here how fast everything is going. So if you're working in your Silhouette and you see how fast I'm able to click on stuff and type out things, so that's one thing that you want to be able to speed up your Silhouette software so that when you're designing, you can design, really quick on the fly. So just showing you how fast my system is working right now, and it's something that you want to be able to do too. And we're also going to set up our program. Now I do have a video on how to work Silhouette somewhere, so you may want to go and take a look at that. But let's start here with settings. Down in the right hand corner of your machine, you see this little circle thing, which is your preference panel. I'm going to open that up. You want to set your language and then set your default save location, whether you want your stuff to save to your hard disk or to your library. Now I have mine set to save to my hard disk, but I'm going to show you something. I'm going to back out and show you something really quick. Over here on this side, on the left panel, there's a show hide library function. And if you save to your library, you can drag and drop things. So here I have a bunch of patterns that I use. And you see that? How I can just bring that in and drag it in here. And so now I've got that pattern. I could do something with this pattern, or I could just, select it, and that kind of changes, my design by me dragging it in. So that's a great reason to save your things to your library versus your hard disk. So we're going to change that. The other thing that you can do here is in your library over here, you can open it up, stretch it back and forth, and you can resize it and all of that stuff so that you have a little bit more workspace. And we're going to go ahead and hit the little button and close it. So that's one reason to have your items saved to your library. When you're saving items to your library, it's going to save it in the cloud. The next thing that we're going to talk about is your units of measure, whether you want it to measure in inches, millimeters, or whatever. In the US, we pretty much use inches, so I'm going to leave that on inches. And whether you want it to show your dimensions. And showing dimensions is like this. So this is showing, you know, the size. You can take show dimensions off. Oh, don't know what happened there. And so now it's not going to show the dimensions. I like to show dimensions. Sometimes when you change fonts, you'll get this to where it'll do this, and what you can do is you can ungroup it, and then you'll see the actual true dimensions of your design. So we're going to leave on show dimensions. Next is your print resolution. Print resolution refers to when you're printing pictures, how clear and crisp you want those pictures to be. Now, mind you that if you import a picture and it's low resolution, it's just going to be low resolution unless you do something before you bring it in to increase the resolution. But this is the print resolution, and 300 dpi works. You can do 600 or 1200, but for printing cut, 300 dpi is just fine. Let's go over to defaults, and which direction do you want your portrait, your page to be oriented in? I like to work straight up. Some people like their arrow over to the side, but I like to work straight up because it reminds me of how I'm putting the design into the Cameo. And then your blade, if you got auto blade or ratchet blade, I always leave mine on auto blade, and my default page color here is white. You can change this default page color, and that changes the page color. The reason I keep mine on white is because I don't like to see the lines on the Cameo really bright. And I'll show you that when I go to put the lines in. So I don't really like for those lines to be really bright and overbearing, so I just keep this on white. Used to be a feature where you could do a transparency, but it looks like that feature is gone. And then you've got your fill, your default fill for when you're typing out a word, let's say like happy, whether you want that to be filled inside or whether you want it to be an outline. And we're going to hit apply, and then now I'm going to retype. Happy. Oh, I misspelled it, but you guys get the gist. So now it's just showing me the outline. This is great when you're dealing with vinyl. You may not want to show the outline, but if you're going to do printing cuts, you would want to show your fill colors and change that. You can always still, even though we did this here, we can still go up here and select our fill color. So if you're designing something, you can always change that in the design. It's just pretty much up to you, just showing you different things that you can do. I like mine to be the solid fill. And then whether you want to show your matte, I'm going to turn the matte off. Well, the matte is shown over on the other side now, but I like for my matte to always display. So even if I turn my matte off, when my silhouette opens, it will show my matte. And then whether you want registration marks to show on all of your designs. If your main business is print and cut, you can go ahead and put that on there. You can already have your registration marks on your silhouette if all you do is print and cut. If you're doing vinyl, then you would turn your silhouette registration marks off. I like to just go in and turn mine on for some reason, even though that's what I do is print and cut. I like to just do it manually. When you're importing something, how you want your center of rotation, where you want that to be in the center, or how do you want it to be. And then we have panel mode. This is something that I keep on flexible, and that flexible mode is the one that I was showing you here, where you see everything opens up really fast. So you want that to be on there. So you want to leave that, and then we're going to go over to display, and this is where we're going to speed up our silhouette. By default, well, let me go through everything. Let's leave anti-aliasing as it is, and then you can change your theme. Now, I actually prefer a dark theme. So I'm going to hit apply and show you what the dark theme looks like. So this is the dark theme. This is the theme that I normally work in. But when I'm recording, because this stuff over here comes dark and it's hard to see on the recorder when I'm recording with my from my phone, then it's hard to see here on the desktop because it's recording from the desktop. It's easy to see, and it's easy to see on the desktop. It's pretty light on the eyes, so but for this video, because I'm going to do a video after this where I'm going to be using my phone, I'm going to leave it on light. Okay, and then you have your button size. Notice my buttons are nice and big because I am 50 years old and I want to be able to see. So if you've got a nice size laptop and you're able to make your buttons big, go ahead and make your buttons big. Now the next one is animation, and animation is a game changer. That's what's going to speed you up. So push that from slow all the way to fast. On your curve quality, your curve quality is normally low. I bring that up to the middle because I'm trying to get the best I can get, and so you have to kind of compensate for speed and all of that. So just kind of go in the middle and then hit apply. Let me apply that and bring that back to my light theme. The lighter theme is a little harsh on my eyes, so like I said, I prefer the darker theme. On your import, I import my stuff as it is, convert my white lines to black, because if you've got white lines you can't see, so I do like to convert my white lines to black. I'm going to leave that off, and then in here for my SVGs, how do you want it to open? Do you want it to open as is, or do you want it to open centered? I like for it to open up centered on the page, and then we're going to convert white lines to black lines. So that's how I'm going to open that up, convert the white lines to the black lines, same as here. And this polylines, I'm not really sure what that is, okay? So I don't really mess with that. It was checked here and I unchecked it, but I've never seen it make a difference. So then we've got DFX files, which I don't open up any of these types of files. This is the silhouette file, and this is a GSD file. SVG files is what I open in. If you're not working in Business Edition, and maybe some of the other editions may have silhouette, may have the ability to import SVGs. That's one thing that you want, one of the reasons you want to be able to have this edition. Auto trace your PNGs when you install, bring in a PNG file. You want that to be set to on if you're doing print cut, because it will just automatically trace it for you and you don't have to go in and do that. So that'll speed it up. I know the video's getting a little longer, so I'm going to kind of go through this. All of this stuff, after creating a shape, continue drawing shapes. All of this stuff here, you just go through here and decide what works best for you. On my updates, I turn updates off. On Silhouette, you can turn your updates on to where it updates like once a month or whatever. The reason I leave it off is because the last thing I need is for my Silhouette to update and I get some type of god-awful glitch that I can't fix and I'm in the middle of trying to do a job. So if I want to update, I'll update it manually. I'll go in and update it manually. So, you know, it's pretty much up to you. When they have firmware updates are forced, so you can't, you know, not update the firmware, but I turn the updates off. And then let's go over into advanced here, and I don't mess with any of this stuff. So we're gonna hit OK, and now you'll have your settings, and your program is optimized for you to start doing your print and cut. Now, a couple of other things that I'm going to show you when you get your silhouette, or you may, from time to time, you'll have to do a calibration. And calibration is when your design is not cutting exactly like it should be. And so I'm going to show you how to do that, and then I'm going to go through some more points that are in the designer section. So if you need to calibrate, if your printing cuts are off and you're showing a white line, you'll go over here to find your silhouette and hit load, and you'll go into calibration. Now I've got a video on calibration, so you'll see this will pop up. You'll follow the prompts. Go and watch my video on calibration if you want to learn how to calibrate if your cutter is off. But I would always suggest doing this, and I suggest doing this once a month, or maybe every 3 months when you're not doing anything. Okay, so let's go back over to design. I'm going to show you a couple other things that you can do with your page setup. You can go in and you can select your page mat to be, I'm going to do auto because it's 15, and change this orientation here to go up, and then whether you want to show your print borders, which doesn't really make a difference. What you do want is your cut border to be there. Print border doesn't make a difference because you're going to do that in your printing software. Let's go over here to show grids, and that's the grid right there. Okay, so when you show the grid line, what you want to do is, I'm going to bump that down to 1 because 1 is 1 inch. So here, that's 1 inch, okay? And so you've got your guidelines, which you can have on or off. I like to have my guidelines on, and I like the snap to guide to also be on here. You can turn your rulers off or on, and so you see the ruler coming on and off up here. And then if you want to have crosshairs, that will move, and you can check stuff with crosshairs, which is something that I really don't use too much. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. But what I am going to do is put a square here. Okay. I got that perfect. Okay. Turn that off. So I've got this, and I'm just going to check this. See how that moves to the grid. Okay. Now, notice it's moving faster. If I turn off snap to guides, it moves faster if I just have snap to grids on and I have enable smart snapping. So, see here, the smart snapping, you want to have both of these on, so it snaps. And the reason you want to do that is because if you look up here, you'll notice that you're getting exact dimensions. So when you're using your sheet, that's good to have. Okay, so on my primary lines, I like to change this and to red or whatever color you want that to be on your mat, and that's pretty much, pretty much up to you. You can leave it white, or you can leave it, you know, whatever color that you want it to be. And I like for mine to be red. Now there used to be here where you could go in and change this and kind of edit it and make it faded, but that looks to be gone. So I wish that they hadn't removed that, because it makes it so, you know, bright. I'm going to go ahead and turn off my registrations marks on the page, because it's kind of bothering my eyes. If you want to constrain your stuff to the media, you can hit there and then it only cut there, but I leave that off. Okay, so here we go. We've got all of that stuff set up. Pick scan, color fields. I'm just going to go through this real quick. Tracing. So these are your features that you have. What I use a lot is going to be you know, your text and your tracing, but in the designer, in the business edition, you have the ability to create your own fonts. So that's one ability that you have, is to create your own fonts. So you can write your fonts out, create them, scan it in, and then you have your own custom font that is yours, that nobody else has. And you can go in and market those fonts. So that's one thing that's great about this edition. Transform is in the old edition. I just want to show you stuff that's pretty much in this edition. In the designer edition, you get the ability to do pop-up shapes, stipple, which is different effects here that I don't use. I do use the nesting effect. Puzzle, you can take like a photo and create that into a puzzle shape. You've got rhinestones, the ability to create rhinestone designs, which you'll love. And then you have layers. So a lot of people like to work on layers. I just work on, when I'm working in Corel Draw, I like working in layers. But on Silhouette Studio, I don't like working in layers because I don't do really detailed designs. But if you have a design and you want to turn layers on and off, you know, that's great. But you also have the ability to do warp shapes, and so you can curve your text and everything. You can curve in the regular version of Silhouette Studio, but you can't do detailed things like this. So that's really cool. And then you have split screen media layout, and you can go in and show how you're going to lay out your media. So if I was going to do duplicates of this, it would show rows, you know, things like that. So let's take that off. So that's pretty much it. Optimizing your design, your silhouette for printing. I hope you guys like the video. Subscribe. And I've got a new channel now, which is Sublimation Live on Facebook. So go ahead and check that out. I'll leave the link in the description. Thanks for watching.